Have you ever gazed into her eyes and felt a tempest you couldn't name? A sweetness that dulled your guard, a look that made you forget the weight of your own resolve. Brother, this is not poetry, this is design. There exists a realm of wisdom modern man has forsaken, not because it's false, but because its truth demands too steep a price. Schopenhauer, the philosopher, did not shy from this wisdom. He stepped into its depths. And what he uncovered was not disdain for women, but a truth about them that still haunts the heart of man today. He cautioned not with resentment, but with a reason forged in fire, that while men are shaped by clarity, women are crafted in veils of mist. He spoke not to diminish, but to awaken. For what is hidden cannot be trusted naively, and what enchants must be deciphered before it consumes. The men of Athens mocked him. The judges sentenced him, yet he faced their ignorance with a knowing smile, for he understood. A man who sees a woman only as she appears, not as she operates, is like a warrior charmed by the gleam of his foe's blade. Beautiful, yet deadly. Schopenhauer taught through inquiry. So ask yourself, why does she seek influence in the shadows? Why is her affection so often laced with calculation? Why does her silence speak louder than her words? If you don't question, you won't see. And if you don't see, you'll kneel. Not from devotion, but from delusion. In his writings, Schopenhauer described the balanced soul governed by reason, not enslaved by desire or whim. But what of a man who builds his life around a woman whose essence he fails to grasp? That man isn't forging a soul. He's erecting a temple to chaos. He spoke of the tyrannical soul, driven by craving, ever restless, never sated. Gentlemen, how many men today don reason's cloak while shackled by the need for feminine validation? How many build empires not for legacy, but to win a woman who'll flee when the gates fall? Understand, Schopenhauer wasn't warning you of her. He was warning you of yourself. When you don't know her nature, she's neither your foe nor your savior. She is your trial, and every man must pass it or be crushed by his own illusions. You were taught to seek beauty, but Schopenhauer knew beauty is the lure. What matters is the intent behind it. And this, he said, is where men stumble. You chase her form and ignore her essence. You seek her touch and miss her pattern. You don't study, you fall. And when you fall, she doesn't catch you, not from cruelty, but because nature didn't design her to. She selects, she tests, she adapts, but she doesn't build. That is your burden. That is your curse and your crown. Schopenhauer, the philosopher, said a man must live examined. That includes your thoughts of her, your needs, your weaknesses, your yearnings. If these go unscrutinized, she'll see what you refuse to and wield it. Not maliciously, but instinctively. Just as a river doesn't hate the stone it wears down, a woman doesn't hate the man she outmaneuvers. She's simply following her nature. But are you following yours? Schopenhauer lived among men who misread power, thinking it lay in votes, wealth, or praise. But he knew true power belongs to the man who cannot be deceived, especially by what he loves. That is the starting point. You weren't born to orbit her. You were born to govern yourself. Schopenhauer taught that the unexamined life is not worth living, but an unexamined desire is even more perilous. And nowhere is desire more cloaked than in the realm of women. It wears the guise of devotion. It sings like truth. It moves like fate. But it answers to something deeper. Survival, selection, instinct. You call it love. She calls it timing. In his essays, Schopenhauer warns that love, unchecked by reason, becomes a divine madness. Sacred, perhaps, but madness still. He writes, "The soul swayed by lust becomes a wingless creature, crawling in circles, fixated on the source of its hunger." How many men now live in that cycle? How many have traded their mission, their principles, their sovereignty for what? A fleeting look, a rush of dopamine in a gentle voice, a warm embrace. You're not here to be consumed by the feminine. You're here to understand it. He noted that while men pursue truth, women often seek alignment, not with truth, but with security. This isn't a slight, it's a biological strategy, an adaptive masterpiece. But you must see it. She doesn't seek what's just. She seeks what ensures survival, what radiates strength, status, stability in her world. Your intellect doesn't captivate her. Your ambition, your certainty, your command of your reality, that does. But if you hand her your crown before you wear it, she'll never bow. If you place her above your mission, she'll test you until you break. She's not cruel. She's responding to what you've shown, that your soul is for sale. Schopenhauer believed the soul has three parts: reason, spirit, appetite. The greatest man lives where reason rules. But when appetite, sexual, emotional, social, leads, the man dissolves. He no longer leads, he follows. Not her, but his craving for her. You know these men, you've seen them, men who shine only when she lights them, men who kneel without knowing the altar, men who'd burn their values to keep her warm. And you, if you don't awaken, will join them. Schopenhauer was surrounded by those who mistook noise for wisdom, beauty for virtue, charm for truth. He saw through it all, and when he challenged it, they condemned him. Yet his voice endures, not for the crowd, not for the weak, but for you, the man who dares to see clearly. He saw women are attuned to the present, to emotion, to safety, to the now. Men, meanwhile, are cursed and blessed with the burden of the future. Your mind reaches forward, your soul craves legacy, your bones bear the weight of vision. But vision costs, and the feminine offers a seductive way to forget it, to trade it for comfort, warmth, the illusion of peace. You must resist. Your peace must come from clarity, not her compliance. She'll test your frame, your conviction, mirroring your doubts with devastating precision. If you don't master yourself, she'll master you, not with malice, but with exquisite instinct. Schopenhauer, the philosopher, taught not to hate the world, but to question it, not to fear what confuses us, but to illuminate it. So illuminate her, not with suspicion, but with understanding. She's not your anchor, she's the tide. Do you see the difference? You must become a philosopher of your instincts. Schopenhauer warned, more in silence than speech, that man's ruin comes not from the sword or the state, but from the desires he refuses to study, and no desire haunts men more than the longing for the feminine mystery they don't grasp. The tragedy isn't that man needs her, it's that he doesn't know why. In that blindness, he makes her a deity, then blames her when she fails to work miracles. She was never meant to complete you. She was designed to test you. In his works, Schopenhauer dismantles the notion that pleasure equals good, that what feels right is right. He strips away the idea that validation, especially from women, is a measure of virtue. What he reveals is sobering. Your chase for her approval isn't noble. It's a symptom of a forgotten purpose. You don't need her gaze. You need your soul to stand tall in the dark. Men today falter, not from lack of skill, but from inner disarray. They read her moods better than their own values. They recite lines she likes, forgetting the oaths they swore to themselves. You think you're romantic. She thinks you've dulled your edge, and she's right. She cannot love what she doesn't respect, and she doesn't respect what she can control. Schopenhauer didn't say this outright, but his philosophy's architecture reveals it. Harmony lies not in equal natures, but in each soul in its rightful place. A woman doesn't want to lead you. She wants to feel secure under your guidance. But when you abandon that role, when her emotions become your compass, her approval your mirror, her affection your prize, you cease being a man and become a shadow. She may keep you near, but not because she desires you, because it's convenient. And convenience fades. The world is full of men who thought worship would win her love. But love isn't won through worship, it's won through sovereignty. In his dialogues, Schopenhauer questions whether virtue can be taught, but more crucially, whether men even recognize it. Ask yourself, do you know what masculine virtue is? Do you know it before you offer it to her? Or have you mistaken devotion for discipline, lust for loyalty, compliance for love? She doesn't want you broken, needy, or even nice. She wants you real, and the real man doesn't orbit the feminine. He orbits the good, the true, the just, inviting her to walk with him only if she matches his rhythm. When she sees you live by principle, not persuasion, speak with restraint, lead with clarity, and love without losing yourself, she'll follow, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. That's the paradox Schopenhauer grasped. Power doesn't come from chasing it. It comes from being a man who needs it from no one, especially her. When you stop seeking her favor and start seeking your essence, not your flesh, but your core, you become untouchable. Not hardened, but whole. Wholeness is man's forgotten treasure. The temples of ancient Athens stood not for comfort, but for virtue, carved in stone, tested in trials, whispered to men by philosophers like Schopenhauer. Know thyself, not please her, not serve her, not become what she wants, but know. In knowing lies power, in power, peace. Yet most men today lack peace. They're at war, not with her, but with the lie they tell themselves, that her love will save them, her body will cure their unrest, her smile will replace their selfhood. This isn't love, it's intoxication, and every philosopher knows the drunk can't see truth. Schopenhauer spoke of forms, ideal realities behind earthly shadows. There's a form of womanhood, just as there's a form of manhood. But modern men chase only the shadow, curves, eyes, promises wrapped in allure. They forget to ask, what does this form serve? What does it protect? What does it consume? She's not evil, she's efficient, not deceptive, she's adaptive, not broken, she's complex, calibrated for survival, hers, not yours. Her instincts outpace your fantasies. Her choices outrun your affections. When your gaze clouds with lust or longing, she sees your weakness. Schopenhauer didn't say this directly, but it's woven in his philosophy. You're either ruled by reason or by desire. There's no third path. The man who falls into her without a map doesn't find freedom. He finds loss, smiling but sinking. His fate? To blame her for the current he never trained for. But a man schooled in reason, who's faced his thirst, unmasked illusion before it seduced him, that man doesn't sink. He sails. She respects him, not for cruelty, but for clarity. In his writings, Schopenhauer speaks of love as a ladder, from one body's allure to all beauty, to wisdom, to the divine. Most men never climb. They linger at the base, rotting in pleasure's pit, never asking what it points to. You, reader, don't rot. Climb. She's the start of a question, not the end of your path. She's the gate, not the kingdom. She's the wind, but you must be the sail. Your strength isn't in overpowering her, but in outgrowing the need for her to define you. Let her be mystery, paradox, woman. But you be man in Schopenhauer's philosophical sense, measured, examined, enduring, unmoved by flattery, unbroken by rejection, undistracted by fleeting glitter. That's your path, your calling, your dignity. Dignity isn't given. It's forged in silence's heat, rejection's weight, clarity's cold nights when no one watches, no one saves you. That's where Schopenhauer would have you build, not in her arms, not in her validation, but in your unshakable inner court. The man who relies on her warmth to feel whole lacks his own fire. The man who bends his will to keep her affection will break. And she won't gather the pieces, not from cruelty, but from nature. She seeks a man who doesn't need her, but chooses her, fully aware of what she is and isn't. She's not your healer, your savior, your mirror for worth. Want her to see you. Stand where few men stand. In solitude, discipline, mastery, without needing to be seen. Schopenhauer said, "The surest way to live with honor is to be what we appear to be." Every man wants to seem strong, wise, desired, respected. But how many forge themselves to become it? Don't chase her attention. Cultivate presence. Don't chase her body. Master your appetites. Don't chase her love. Offer your truth and let her respond. This is Schopenhauer's examined life. Not just thoughts, but motives. Not just philosophy, but posture. Not just knowing the soul, but knowing what your soul does when faced with beauty, temptation, rejection. When she tests you, pulls away, withholds. That's the sacred trial, the arena. Most men kneel there, betraying their throne. Not you. You stand, you hold, you choose reason over reaction. Her affection doesn't shatter your focus. The weakness was already yours. Her silence doesn't break your spirit. The silence was always yours. Don't resent her for being what nature made her. Study her, learn her, respect her design without yielding to it. She's wind, uncatchable, changeable, wild. You're the mast. Don't rage when the wind shifts. Adjust your sail. That's manhood, not control, not conquest, but unbreakable direction. This is the truth the world hides, buried under soft lies. Schopenhauer whispered it through every paradox, every challenge, every cup of truth. Be unshaken. When you are, she'll feel it. Not in fear, but in awe. She'll know this one cannot be moved. And when she knows that, her nature responds. She orbits, not from submission, but selection, not as your prize, but as a response to your power. Women don't fall for men. They align with them, mirroring strength, not sympathy, following rhythm, not words, seeking heat that endures. Schopenhauer wouldn't beg for her loyalty. He'd become the man to whom loyalty is natural, understanding the hierarchy of energies. The grounded governs the fluid. You're not meant to chase water with empty hands. Build a channel, let it flow. The world tells you to submit to her emotions, to soothe, to please, to adapt. But that betrays the law in your bones. Don't bend unless it's your will. Fold to earn her favor, and you'll fold again until you're no longer a man, but a memory. There's no intimacy without integrity. The man a woman can't leave isn't the richest, handsomest, or most poetic. It's the man who could walk away and remain whole. When she senses you can't, that your soul chains to her presence, your fire dims without her light. She knows you're no longer fire, but a flickering candle, fragile, forgettable. The man who holds his line, smiles through rejection, pursues his mission despite her moods. That man becomes gravity she can't resist. Schopenhauer lived this. While others chased vanity, he dismantled illusion. While others sought applause, he sought truth's alignment. Your essence must be unmoved by others' approval, especially hers. She tests your core, not to break it, but to find it. When she raises her voice, do you falter? When she withholds affection, do you grovel? When she threatens to leave, do you lose your way? These aren't arguments, they're examinations. Fail and she loses faith, not because you're unworthy, but because your kingdom is sand. She can't trust a man who needs her more than himself. Pain isn't punishment, it's an invitation to rise, refine, become a man who loves without losing, leads without dominating, feels without unraveling. This isn't mere philosophy, it's sovereignty, the masculine essence free of addiction, Schopenhauer's soul, calm, composed, uncontrollable. That's the start of love that doesn't enslave. You weren't made to kneel at affection's altar, but to guard truth's gates with your life. This is what Schopenhauer taught. Not with slogans, but with sacrifice. The woman isn't your battlefield. She's your mirror, your test, revealing your fault lines. Most men fail because they weren't taught the feminine doesn't complete your soul. It challenges it. Embrace that, and she becomes the forge. Resist, and she becomes the flame that consumes you. Don't ask her to be simpler, grow wiser. Don't ask her to stay, become the man she can't leave. Don't ask her to soothe your wounds, heal so deeply your scars become scripture. Schopenhauer gave no orders, only questions, sharp enough to pierce illusion, wake the soul, strip every mask. Follow that path, and you'll lose illusions, addictions, entitlements. But you'll gain everything, clarity, rare in this noisy age, calm, unmanipulable, power, not over others, but over yourself. In mastering yourself, you conquer the world. Let them call you cold, distant, too firm. These are the cries of a world fearing men who won't bend. Such men don't obey trends, fall to temptation, or trade their soul for a kiss. They stand, not because it's easy, but because falling isn't an option. In that stance, you become a beacon. Other men will see you, remembering who they were meant to be. That ripple reaches beyond your sight. To you, reflecting in silence, feeling the ancient ache of the wise, I say, rise, without rage, without apology, without fear, not against her, but for yourself. Don't flee her tests or resent her power. Meet it with your unshakable being. When you do, illusions die, the soul ascends. This isn't for the masses, it's for the seekers, builders, kings without crowns who haven't forgotten the fire. If these words stir you, share them. Let them echo, like subscribe. Men everywhere hunger for this. The world doesn't need louder men, it needs clearer ones. Be that man, walk forward, unshaken.